Hello and welcome to the GameShow Global Esports Cup, the final match between Invictus Gaming and For the Dream Club A. What once was a best of 5 is now down to a best of 1. Whoever wins this game right here will be moving on to Vilnius for the studio land of the GameShow Global Esports Cup, and whoever loses is eliminated. That's it. It would be amazing. Not necessarily for Invictus Gaming, but if For the Dream were able to make this upset, amazing for them. But still, IG have a lot to prove as what many would have considered the favorites going into this series, and they're going to start off the draft with what we saw from game number 1, the Night Stalker first pick. A really terrifying hero. A lot of potency and the ability to get aggressive on the map, but I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We'll hold the draft for a little bit. I'm Grandis V. I'll be your caster for this game and the series afterwards, DK versus Newbie, which will be right after. And I'm not alone. For now, I have Corrupt Drop Bear on the stats, so if you see any pop-ups, that's where you can find him, at Corrupt Drop Bear on Twitter, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so that should be good. At least I'll have something else to talk about. But now Queen of Pain. For the Dream, are going to go ahead and select her in response to the Night Stalker. Not the greatest matchup directly between those two heroes. The silence, the crippling fear at nighttime is going to be very annoying for the Queen of Pain to deal with, but still, we saw how powerful Queen of Pain can be, but IG are going to waste no time. It's a second pick Brood. Broodmother in the right hands is absolutely downright terrifying. There is no other way to put it. Even if you have the wave clear, even if you have the catch, Broodmother can still take a game away from you, out from under your nose. And in the 5th game of a best of 5, IG are going to put a lot of faith in this Brood as a space creator and as a way for them to transition into towers. IG have shown that they're very safe, very reserved in their play, and are very focused on objectives, less so than kills. In the one game where they focus less on the objectives, that was their 20-minute loss to FTD, where they put a lot of attention on the Alchemist and his woods. They try to gank him time and time again, and it just doesn't work out for them. But it is worth noting that Alchemist is available in the pool. Oh, well, we'll see if that's an option for either of these sides. FTD might end up selecting him. Who knows? If you get your hands on that Spiderling money, it is so sweet for the Alch. Still, I think they'll probably stay with something that hides their cards a little bit. A lot of the supporting cast has been left through the pool. Especially Winter Wyvern. Feels like a very good selection for FTD. Maybe not aggressive enough for their taste, though. Yeah, we'll have to see what they settle on. Lena wouldn't be awful either. Just, some sort of wave clear to deal with these Broodmother spiders could be useful. And as a drafting tactic, just holding your cards and not showing your big, scary, safe lane farmer until later on might come to their advantage, but they're going to chew through a lot of their reserve time here, as they probably should. An incredibly important game for FTD. They're the underdogs. Although XTT has been seen on a lot of teams around the scene and has very much performed inside the group stage, a lot of the other members of FTD Club A are mostly just from the pub scene and from in-house leagues in China. Although they are very competent and very good players, as they've shown today too. They have a lot to prove, and they are going to go for that Winter Wyvern. No big surprises there as IG pick up the Gyrocopter. Another pick that should come as a surprise to no one. IG are going through this draft a lot more confidently than FTD. They're not using a reserve time. They know what they want, and they're picking it up now. This puts a lot of psychological pressure on XTT to pull this draft together and to tie everything up in such a way that they get an advantage against IG. Right now, I think they have about as good as you can get first 3 picks against the Broodmother. If Brood ever shows the lane, you have the charge to maintain vision of her. You have the Blinken from the Queen of Pain, the Wave Clear from the Spiders, and the Lockdown from the Winter's Curse also, which is pretty brutal against Broodmother. Turn her, all of her children against her as they'll munch down mommy if you're not careful and caught inside your own web. Even with all of this preparation for the Broodmother, I don't think they can focus too much of their draft around it. Just go for heroes that are still all-purpose and still very good, like the Queen of Pain, Spiritbreaker, and Winter Wyvern. But here's where they have to show something. Is the Spiritbreaker going to be offlane? Is it going to be a support? Are they going to pick up another offlaner entirely? Do they snag their safe lane farmer? No matter what it's going to be, It's going to be really quick, and it's going to be the Slardar. Slardar has not been seen at all this series. Maybe one ban here or there, I can't remember for sure. But I know that he hasn't been played. The Chinese teams do pick up Slardar fairly commonly, and every scene really has been loving the Slardar. But these two teams, less so than most. This is going to give them that amp damage to keep track on the Broodmother, a good initiating tool for them. But as a carry against the Brood, in lane at the very least, is going to have a lot of difficulty. And shutting down the Broodmother and making sure that she doesn't get her levels and farm up as Invictus Gaming pick up the Bane. Oh, yeah, this Bane is going to be really annoying for them. Getting in range for Gyrocopter's Rocket Barrage, or at least the perfect position for it with the Nightmare setup. Outside of that, there's not any super great things that the Nightmare is setting up for. Still, even without that mass amount of setup that usually you'll look for with the Bane, like a Lina or Lesh to follow up afterwards. As a standalone hero against what FTD have, I think he's pretty darn good. Defensive Nightmare, a very useful tool at your disposal. The Brain Set being able to trade against the Spirit Breaker in lane is something that not a lot of supports can claim to be able to do, and I think Bane is probably one of the better ones at doing just that. Although, I mean, of course, Spirit Breaker, if he gets lucky, might still come out ahead. At least it's a tanky support that has those defensive responses. Invictus Gaming have a draft that's not really tied together yet. We have a lot of different ideas coming here. The Gyrocopter can pretty much do it all, but ooh. FTD gonna pick up the Slark. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about this Slark pick. FTD have a lot of aggressive potential, but if the aggressive plays do not work out for their side, things could go very terribly for them. And you have Ferrari on his Ember Spirit. That is, in and of itself, terrifying. Lua on the Broodmother. Rapid on the Gyrocopter. This is a very comfortable draft for IG. The Slark does have the upside of not being against very much lockdown. At least not very much lockdown that he can't easily see coming. A lot of it is very projected. The chains from the Ember Spirit don't give him much pause. Still, on the flip side of that, the lockdown for this Ember Spirit, I'm not sure if it's going to be enough just by nature of how well Ferrari plays the hero. And he's going to be taking that mid lane. Wards bot galore from either side, as both of these teams are going to vie for control over the early portion of this map. FTD have a draft that, if they get behind, lose, I'm pretty sure. They are sharks, and they have the Slark and the Slardar to back that up. If they stop swimming, they're just going to sink. If the Broodmother gets any amount of space, she's going to run away with this game. Pretty similar for the Ember Spirit and for the Gyrocopter. It's really scary, but I do think their heroes line up a lot better together than IG when it comes to their timing windows that they're going to hit. Once you get this Blink Dagger on the Slardar, once you get the Initiating on probably Shadow Blade on the Slark, and once you get the levels on the Queen of Pain, they have a lot of ways to get pickoffs and start picking up that momentum, but yeah, very snowbally draft from them. Lua's going to go down to this bottom lane, and on the Broodmother. It looks like he's going to be just fine, but hey, yeah. We'll get our first pop-up over in the sidelines, just introducing this game. Nothing too crazy happening for First Blood, as both of the teams will just be content to trade a bounty for bounty apiece. Ferrari will get the bounty rune top, more than likely, and Queen of Pain will get the bounty rune bottom lane. Ember Spirit is going to snag that for himself, and then they're just going to go back into their side of the map. As far as the Queen of Pain versus Ember Spirit matchup is concerned, I'm sure this is one both of the players have either practiced, or if not, directly practiced in a 1v1 and played time and time again in pubs. Very popular heroes, and really it's an interesting matchup to watch. The Queen of Pain has the range advantage against the Ember Spirit, but the poke from Shadow Strike doesn't bother Ember nearly as much as it does a lot of other melee heroes, since you have the Flame Guard, and now with the Enfeeble, and getting a super good block, Ember Spirit might have a much better early game timing than he'd like to. Juking out the Shadow Strike, they know that he's gone for Sleight of Fist, or at least they can expect he's gone for Sleight of Fist, something that you do against Queen of Pain to not deal with that, or not have to deal with that Shadow Strike spam. Unsuccessfully, the Ember Spirit's not going to be able to dodge that out. Still is getting assistance from the Bane, is out-CSing the Queen of Pain ever so slightly. Enfeeble, such an annoying spell. Both of our offlaners, not a lot interesting going on these side lanes for now, so I'm probably not going to talk too much about it. The Slardar, if he gets too over-aggressive, might just die with the Void and the Rocket Barrage combo, but I don't think he's going to be walking too far. That said, if there is a hero that you can say would give up first blood, I expect it to be the Slider. The Broodmother is playing so defensively now in the trees. I don't think Lua is going to be the one to do just that. Mid lane really is the most interesting matchup that we can talk about now. The Queen of Pain under tower is probably going to secure a couple of VCS, making things pretty even against the Ember Spirit. But an even lane is good lane for Ember. And it's pretty rare that we see defensive tri-lanes on both sides nowadays. Usually at least somebody's going to be in an aggressive duo in some way, shape, or form. But given the potency of the IG's gyrocopter, when you have the Bane poking in this lane, Slaughter does not want the Spirit Breaker up here. They can't get kills, and it would probably just end up soaking too much experience away from the Slaughter himself. He's going to trade against the Bane, even without having that Brain Sap, is still winning the right-click war. Night Stalker mid, though, is going to have himself a double damage rune. Clearing up, this Night Stalker can put a lot of damage on the Queen of Pain, and they do know that he has a point in Sleight of Fist, but maybe that's enough to set up a kill onto this Queen. It's a lot harder till you get at least level 2, probably level 3 in the Night Stalker to at least have the chance for Crippling Fear. And it's very difficult with just the level 1 Searing Chains, so not going to happen. Just waiting for the bottle to come out for the Ember Spirit, and the bottle to come out from the Queen. Queen dropping low, we'll be able to blink out if you're alive. If there was mana on the Ember Spirit, things get really hairy there. Bottom lane, though, they find the Brood charging forward. Luo is going to end up going down. No way out. And pounced away by the Slark. He's going to be just fine. After freshly picking up that first blood, Slark looks like he'll probably go for a Midas this game. Or at least that would be the expectation. If not Midas, just really fast treads in his Shadow Blade. Or just a really fast Shadow Blade for him. The Broodmother is starting to hit her stride, though. She has that second point in the spawn Spiderlings. It's going to be able to make a potent enough army. And dying a couple times in this laning stage for the Brood, of course, it's not optimal. You don't want to be dying at any stage in Dota. At least unanswered without killing other enemies. Looks like Lua's going to be fine this time around. The charge is going to be cancelled by the Spirit Breaker. And actually will take quite a good amount of harass on the way out. But still, the Broodmother is going to get to the point where she finds herself level 5. Where she is able to take over the woods. And there's not much that FTD can do about that unless they commit a lot of heroes. And that has to involve either the Queen of Pain or Slaughter, and maybe even both. And only level 2, Slaughter is getting vastly out-leveled by the Brood. Even though he hasn't died, I think the offlane situation for IG is much better for them, especially considering the fact that Slark is just getting outfarmed by the Gyrocopter. Broodmother can put a lot more pressure up towards top lane. The Bane's going to try to run away, has no mana left, will get right-clicked to death by Slaughter. Crusher's going to connect on both of them. Will that buy the Queen of Pain the time she needs to retreat? And it looks like it will, at the cost of Slaughter's life, though. Voided down. I don't really see him getting out here unless he has some help from XTT. Wow. Spirit Breaker is going to be able to cancel that charge forward. That's very misleading, but regardless, the advance from IG, starting things out for the Dream, 2-0 against Invictus Gaming. Do keep in mind that the little score tabs are wrong. It is 2 versus 2. Charging forward, Luo is going to be able to make it down. I'm really surprised that first pick Night Stalker isn't higher win rate. And it would be really interesting to see under what circumstances Night Stalker is getting that lower win rate. It feels like it synergizes so nicely with IG's playstyle, though, and they really have used it to great effect this game. And so have For the Dream. It feels like one of the most sought-after picks inside this series in general. Still a very even early game from either side. 250 net worth advantage. Nothing to really write home about. An experience 500 as well. For all intents and purposes, we can call that even. Chuan, maybe going to bump into the Slaughter here, but sprinting away. This guy is super fast. The Dire's Courier is going to fall down in mid lane. That was casually just standing there as the Queen of Pain's able to right-click that to death. The Ember Spirit just wanted to get the most efficiency out of his bottle and then crow afterwards. Unfortunate for him that he loses that. It wasn't carrying that much, and now Chains under tower. Queen of Pain, triple remnant forward. Blink out. Whew. Close call. Close call. Queen of Pain is fine and gets away with the murder of the Courier. Broodmother has been spotted. She has a huge army, though. Slark might just get eaten alive if he's not careful, and I don't think Spirit Breaker is going to be able to continue on this kill unless they have more backup. Queen Pain's coming from the north. Lulo's going to be chained down to the ground. Spawns more spiders. The army isn't helping him here, and the Splinter Blast is going to drop down there. Yeah, the ring protection for the Night Stalker is the only thing that was there. They'll crush up the spiderlings and a little bit of extra farm for the Slardar. It is a 5-man rotation bottom, though. This is farm for the Gyrocopter. There's a little bit of extra space for the Ember Spirit, as he's going to be able to join back to the lane with a little bit of time where the Queen of Pain's absent, but not that much. After expending all of his remnants trying to get that kill on the Queen of Pain, Ember Spirit had to make the long trek back to base. But this Gyrocopter really is getting so much. 1,000 net worth on top of his Phase, Basilius, Mango. Yeah, the usual stuff for a Gyrocopter. Maybe the Mango accepted, but within reasonable bounds. The Slardar is going to join the top lane, and Gyrocopter wants to get aggro down bottom, TPing to the tier 2 to join up the Night Stalker. They know how aggressively they've been hunting Luo, and maybe they're going to be able to turn this. The power of Call Down at this point in the game is huge, but is it stronger than the Slark's ultimate? They're going to wait for Luo to get jumped on. The Call Down is going to miss completely, and the Spirit Breaker, although he's probably going to go down here, at least the Slark is going to survive. A pretty long kill on the Spirit Breaker, but eventually is going to be killed off and turned into a spider that's stuck here? No. Spiderhead's going to join the team. They're grouping around the Broodmother, recognizing that Lewis had a pretty darn awful time, and are going to get themselves on the board with the first kill for the side of IG. Their Ember Spirit isn't farming miraculously, and he hasn't been involved in any kills yet. Just getting the levels, though, on your Ember Spirit is enough. He's going to have maxed out Flame Guard, as well as 2 points chains, 1 in the Sleight of Fist, presumably at 8. Bottom lane, they'll look for the tower to 9. Not going to happen. They'll destroy it with the Gyrocopter. Here comes the charge in. Are they going to be able to commit for this? I wonder. The Slark has his ultimate, has the mana required in order to go for this, but it is very deep. The charge forward. XTT wants to go for it, and then thinks better of it. IG have well backed off. And now they might be bringing in Ferrari. No, Ferrari's going to go to the topper and secure that as they're going to get a crush onto the Bane in the top hemisphere of the map. Ember Spirit is making that rotation after picking up the haste. This could be a very dead Slardar in just a second. The synergy between Bane and Ember Spirit is pretty high, getting in range for the chains. He doesn't wait for the Bane, though, and really couldn't have. He saw the opportunity, tried to find it, but gets crushed. So FTD.A's Slardar is going to be able to make it out alive. Three to 1. FTD.A still with the kill advantage, but Slark is, just by nature of the hero, not able to farm as much as the Gyrocopter, and his CS that he does have might be a little misleading. Probably about 7 of those are the small spiders from the Broodmother. He is able to farm in the jungle, sustain himself with the ultimate and the passive regen from it, but he's not able to farm nearly as quickly as this Gyrocopter, who looks like he's going to be going for drums next. Or at least I think that's his bracer. Call down is going to be thrown down, mopping up this large stack, and it looks like he wants to just get the most efficient usage out of the salve as he can. Or not. Maybe? To bracer or not to bracer? Leave the healing salve on the floor. There you go. Bottom lane, they're going to be charging forward, killing off these spiders. Consider the spiders ganked. And they'll be able to kill off quite a few of them. It's not an insignificant amount of gold. Still, the Broodmother, now that tier 1 tower has fallen, is now going to be able to more freely extend her web network into the woods. And Lu's only died twice. It's, of course, not where you want your Broodmother to be, but it's not unexpected, and the Broodmother can still have a massive impact. Maybe not the same can be said for the Slardar. He doesn't have his level 6 yet, and isn't really close to it, and even further than that, won't have his Blink Dagger for a long time unless they start getting involved in kills. And IG are going to smoke. The Gyrocopter and the Ember Spirit, 2 carries that can do a lot, and it looks like they want to kill off this Slark as he farms inside the woods. The Slark is mostly being left alone, and Broodmother has eyes onto him. The Slark does know that there's probably spiderlings around the corner, and he's going to play defensively since he doesn't have any backup. Can he get out to safety, though? The Ember Spirit is coming in hot pursuit. And that's it. I think the Slark did get spotted, if only for a split second. But he's going to be playing defensively enough. FTD.A going to TP up their Queen of Pain top lane. That is pushing in. They want to get the farm there. But really, this is such a slow-paced game for how many rotations have been attempted. We've only seen 4 kills. And even then, just not that many. Yeah, definitely subpar farm for Ferrari's Ember Spirit. But he can do amazing things with the hero, even if it is not his best game. He has the treads up and running. His going to have enough strength to survive the initial burst, as long as it's not everything. I mean, if they're able to line up all of their spells on a Friday, there is no way that that guy survives. Still getting in for that initiation is going to prove to be a bit of a difficulty. He's going to fish for the Shanes, not going to find them, as the Broodmother is going to deliver herself a medallion. There's such a variation in Broodmother item builds, and I like the medallion one quite a bit. Opens up Roshan a little bit easier. Granted, it's not as scary as medallion a couple patches ago. Still, it allows you to do so much physical damage, especially if you combine that with a Desolator down the line. And just the mana sustain is really good for Broodmother's farming speed. Back onto their side of the map, it is the second nighttime phase. Maybe this is the trigger for IG to play a little bit more aggressively. But then again, maybe not. It's only a level 5 Night Stalker. That silence is very potent. It's just not fast enough to stop the Slark reliably. Should be able to Dark Pact out of it most of the time, or at the very least just pounce away, pop his ultimate, and run. Mid lane. Winter's Curse. Ember Spirit is going to get cut out. The Bane behind him. Sonic Wave over the top, and they're going to be able to bring down Ferrari. The right-click damage after the fact. He gets the Sleight of Fist. Running away. Ferrari, are you kidding me? He's going to be able to survive, it seems. Queen Bane blinks behind the tower. Gets chained down to the deck. Silenced up. The Queen Bane's going to get Fiend's gripped, and they're going to be able to kill her off. Oh my goodness. I mean, I talked about it, but I didn't think he'd be able to get out of that one. A double kill for the Gyrocopter. IG. Massive turnaround for them. All they lose is Super's Bane, and his job was done. I'm blown away by the fact that they weren't able to lock down that Ember Spirit longer. Surviving by the skin of his teeth, but I suppose that's exactly what Ember Spirit's itemized for, just cost-efficient stats. Magic Wand, Power Treads, Bracer. His net worth is not that far behind the Queen Pain. In fact, he has an edge over the Queen of Pain, if only just. The real advantage is held by the Gyrocopter, who has a lot of farm. Oh, they know. They know Slaughter's around the corner. They're going to catch the Crush onto the Bane. I don't think that's going to save his life. They're holding the Void. They have the stick in the Mango if they need the mana for it. And also Arcane Boots on the Bane in order to sustain Chuan. So if they need to cancel his TP, they would have had the ability to. 4-4. Yeah, that was absolutely incredible. 21 HP survival from Ferrari. You really just don't want to give him this hero. I'm surprised it was let through until the 5th pick. It just blows me away that they were able to get that selection so late in the draft. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that for the Dream, we're forced to use a lot of their reserve time early and have to be very pensive about their picks and let loose one of the scariest heroes in Dota right about now, especially when it's in the hands of such a competent player. Now, FTD by no means are out of this, and not even close. They have a lot of abilities that allow them to fight, even though they are behind in farm. And Slark's going to get his Shadow Blade very soon. Less than 100 gold till he has that crucial pickup. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he sells his Stout Shield and just picks that up now, flies it out to him on the courier. And that will give For the Dream another shot at taking these fights. Roshan is being attempted with Medallion is dropping pretty low. The Slark is around the corner with the rest of his teammates. The Radiant side, they're going to catch eyes on the Gyrocopter. He's just begging them to go into the pit, it seems. He's going to drop the call down. With the Ember Spirit coming in the sidelines, Slaughter is going to get ripped apart. They were prepared for this. Winter's Curse over onto Ferrari. The damage isn't immediately enough, and Ferrari should be able to remnant out of here. Sonic Wave is a pretty good one coming out for the Queen of Pain with another strike onto the Gyrocopter. Maybe they're able to kill him up, but not with the Rocket Barrage. They just don't have the sustained damage, and Queen of Pain's silence for what feels like a year. What a nice bait coming out from IG. If you see the Gyrocopter there, I wonder what For the Dream we're thinking. Like the Gyrocopters, oh, maybe he's just slightly out of position right outside the fog of the Roshan pit. They knew that they were probably doing Roshan. They were in the area. They were prepared for it. But IG are able to bait them into those close quarters where they get massive value out of the Rocket Barrage from the Gyrocopter because of how split up For the Dream were inside that fight. It was such an awkward time for them to take that engagement because I don't think Slark had his Shadow Blade delivered. He has that purchased now and put on his person, but they just were lacking that initiation tool, and the Slaughter has to casually walk into the pit, and by the time that he commits, he's surrounded by enemy heroes. And IG are now 8-4, picking up a lot of momentum. Chains down onto the deck. Winter Wyvern is going to get mauled by spiders, or just get his brains sucked out through his nose. The Bane's going to be able to get that kill. The Slaughter Amped up by the medallion, amped up by the sprint, trying to run away, but you can't hide from this Ember Spirit. Oh, if he landed his chains. Never mind, you can run from this Ember Spirit. They'll get the kill onto XTT on the backline, so another brain sap kill for a super. And IG are starting to control this map. And it's... not to take anything away from the Gyrocopter, he's terrifying. The amount of farm that IG have on their cores is huge, but the real advantage here is the fact that their supports are getting a lot. Oh, Slaughter's gonna die again. The Rocket Brush will secure the mega kill for the Gyrocopter. Now Slark also just in the sidelines. FTD don't have a team that can fight into IG at this point. They have too much farm on too many of the heroes, especially on the Night Stalker and the Bane. Night Stalker hasn't even committed this into anything, but he's gonna be going for the Aghanim Scepter. They purge off the Fiend's Grip. Slark will survive by the skin of his teeth. If he's not able to get that Dark Pact off, that's a very, very dead Slark. Tier 2 tower in mid is going to be taken immediately after the fact, and the tower advantage is really what's propelling the Bane towards this Glimmer Cape that's almost completed, and that Aghanim Scepter for the Night Stalker that I was briefly mentioning earlier. Whereas you compare this to the Winter Wyvern, those Arcane Boots, this is fine, but maybe most importantly, the fact that Slaughter is so far behind is really what's holding FTD back. He's halfway towards his Blink Dagger. 17.5 minutes into the game. You really kind of need the Slaughter to have it at this point, or else you're just not well enough equipped to fight. Even having that ability to blink in and crush and get that initiation for the team isn't necessarily enough to kill off your Gyrocopter, as the Helm is going to have what looks to be a Sanjin Yasha, probably a Manta style actually, to purge off that amp to further reduce the damage that Slaughter is able to effectively give the team. For the Dream. Still not out of it, but now we have a substantial advantage to look at. 10,000 in the lead for IG in net worth. Less so in experience. They have been grouped up very, very much so this game, but still a pretty sizable one at that. 6,000 in their favor there. For the Dream, we're going to get a tier 1 tower top, but whenever they're getting anything, IG, it feels like they're getting just a little bit more. Although it's not a direct tower trade, they're farming up in mid, they're farming up in bottom, they're farming up your enemy woods, where you have to commit all of your heroes to go for that top tower, with the exception being the Slaughter, but I think Slaughter might just die here. This is really hard for him. There's a double damage Ember Spirit around the corner if they even want to commit. The chains are going to miss, trying to run away. Run away? My R's seem to be getting away from me. But Gyrocopter's going to get that tier 2 tower in the bottom lane in the meantime. They really can't contest against it. Yeah, this Slark just not able to find those initiations that he really does need with that Shadow Blade. It feels like it's too little too late compared to this Gyrocopter that has everything you could want, including the Aegis of the Immortal, which is going to be maintained for them for quite some time. Slark is going to be looking for one of those pickoffs maybe, or just trying to maintain as much farm as possible. Just by the nature of the hero, though, he's falling behind. Now, IG. And the Ember Spirit is going to have his Perseverance up and running. The scariest part for the Dream is the fact that Gyrocopter and Ember Spirit are fighting without having those major completed items done. It will be a Sanjin Yasha on the Gyrocopter after all. I think the distinction between Mantis style and Sanjin Yasha this game is not too wide. I might have preferred the Mantis style a little bit more, but not by much. Up to personal preference, really. But, yeah, the Ember Spirit, once he gets his battle phase, is going to have such a huge leap in power. And it's not like Ferrari is getting the kills himself. He has 0-0 and 6 at KD. The surprising part is the fact that he's survived non-stop. But maybe with the Blink Dagger on the Slaughter, they're going to be able to stop that. They're hunting for the Brood now. Broodmother is fanning out her spiders. That's not going to keep you safe from the smoke, though, if they could find that angle. But what will keep you safe from the smoke is just not showing. Stay in the trees, Lil. And he will. Even if they catch this Broodmother, she's darn tanky. Has the lifesteal from her ultimate 2 to fall back on, but maybe even more impressive is her armor. 6+15 with the Solar Crest and the Vladimir's offering ready. It feels like this itemization is pretty much perfect for IG. Not only to keep Luo alive, but to allow them to go for objectives after pickoffs, and also to allow them to go for the slow siege. Keeping away. Looks like FTD are going to be able to get out. But yeah, this Blink Dagger on the Slaughter, on top of being very late based on the average time pickup for the Slaughter, it's also just not going to be nearly as effective as they need it to be. Some games where you have this late Blink Dagger on the Slaughter, you have more than enough damage from your supports, and you're able to find those pickoffs. The team's carries are a little bit immobile and maybe a tad bit squishy too. They're just too farmed, and it's not the nature of their heroes to be lumped into that situation. This Ember Spirit, despite usually being a very squishy, low-stat hero, is 1300 HP, which is nothing to scoff at, really. Queen of Pain's momentum is almost completely slowed. She's going to be cliff jungling here, which I think is fine. She has her BKB up and running. The BKB just isn't the item that they need the Queen of Pain to be going for this game. Unlike the BKBs that we saw earlier when IG were playing with the BKB on the Queen of Pain, and I believe it was a gyrocopter too, where they're able to fight non-stop with that damage. The Slark isn't that carry. He wants to accelerate himself by finding these pickoffs and by finding jumps with the Shadow Blade, and really the Shadow Blade has only made him feel a little bit more confident as he's out split pushing and split farming. He hasn't been able to find those supports in vulnerable positions, and it's not like these supports are easy to kill. You have a Glimmer Cape on Bane, Nightstalker is darn tanky. The Gyrocopter is pretty far out alone though. Slark is Shadow Bladed, but is going to get spotted out. They have a sentry on this high ground, and Slark is going to be forced to retreat. All the meanwhile, Broodmother's farming in your woods. Ember Spirit's pushing your bottom lane. And IG are getting more out of the map. This spider army is pretty darn immense. If anybody comes into Broodmother's web, they're going to be destroyed. Well, 4-11. IG seem to have control over this game for the Dream. They need to find some way to get these pickoffs, and they're making the right movements for it. They're placing the right wards for it. But IG seem to be one step ahead. They know when these rotations are happening. They're a very seasoned team, and they're just making the right moves. Especially once they get this Aghanim Scepter for the Night Stalker, it's going to be so hard for FTD to take a victory in this game. Just by the nature of how quickly the wards that they are going to be placing will fall. The Slark has his BKB. This is go time. This is the window. This is maybe a chance for the Dream to be able to take down this game. Despite the little pips under the clock saying otherwise, we are tied 2-2. Whoever wins this game goes to Vilnius. Whoever loses is out of the GameShow Global Esports Cup. And with those stakes on the lines, both teams are going to play things very slow and steady. Waiting for the Roshan respawn is going to be backup. They're a fairly long one, actually. About 2 minutes from now. Everything's slowed. Waiting for the BKB on the Gyrocopter, it seems. He's backed up for a lot of intermediary items before picking up that BKB. But is going to have it very quickly. And there's your battle for the Ember Spirit. Really quite impressed at how efficiently Slark's been able to farm. It is worth noting that he is getting spiders here and there, but still just very much trying to get as much farm as he possibly can. It's not as much farm as IG are getting on their cores, but that's really hard to do at any pace. Smoked up for the Dream. 5-man unit. If they're able to catch somebody out, this could be great for them. The Broodmother is going to be farming Ancients around the corner, maybe. No, those are stacked up. I don't think Brood will do that. She's just going to stay as a high ground ward here. Slark is going to be leading the charge. Nobody's farming in that area, and it looks like they're not going to be able to find anything. Let's get out Roshan, find that he's not home, and the smoke is not going to bear any fruits. However, for IG, maybe the same can't be said for them. They have a smoke up on Super, and it looks like they might be ready to go. Or at the very least, are going to farm this Ancient Sec. Ugh, range creep. Gonna go ahead and throw that auto attack finally after a fair bit of animation canceling, and should be able to successfully stack this up. Go home, Thunderhides, you're drunk. Going up to that high ground, not sure why they're aggroing there, but you know what? No harm, no foul. They're gonna make that a 4-stack. Charging top. They want this Ember Spirit. Catching him out is very difficult. He does have a remnant. They'll have another strike afterwards. The damage from the Slark is just not there because they missed the crush from the Slaughter. They don't have the chain disable. Even if that crush connects, I don't think it's enough. I think Ferrari just casually remnants out towards mid. The only way that works is if the Ember Spirit doesn't have the defensive remnant. And that's not something that Ferrari is going to let slip. He's always had one in situations where he can get jumped by the enemy team. And now we're at that point where they have the BKB on the Gyrocopter. The crucial tools are coming out for IG. The only thing they're lacking is this Roshan. And that's something that For the Dream need to and probably do have the tools to be able to contest inside a clumped fight. You have the Sonic Wave, you have the Winter's Curse, even charge through a bunch of heroes. It can be amazing. And they're going to go for that smoke now. If this Roshan falls in favor of IG, this game looks like it's almost over. Not quite, but really close to it. Broodmother can pretty much do this alone. The Ember Spirit dropping low in mid gets Winter's Cursed. And they'll finally be able to bring down Ferrari. Still, it looks like the Roshan's going to fall in the favor of IG. Queen of Pain thinks about going in, but thinks better of it. Gyrocopter will claim the Aegis. Losing your Ember Spirit there is a small bump in the road. He's just caught up by the fact that they smoke, and probably expects them to look for the smoke into the Roshan instead of the smoke into the lane. Or expects them to think that he has allies behind him. Regardless, Ember Spirit's down. But not for too long. 20 seconds or so, and he'll be back up and kicking, ready to push with his team with the second life on the Gyrocopter. And also, on top of that second life, 10-second BKB for him. That said, the BKB durations for FTD are not bad either. 10 seconds on the Queen of Pain. I don't think Slark's had to use his either, but oh my goodness. To answer the question of Broodmother's next item pickup, it's going to be the Black King bar for Luo. This is go time for IG. It really is. Everything's falling together almost perfectly. And FTD are going to have a curse in 40. Probably by the time that they make it to this high ground fight, they are going to have all of their ultimates ready. But right now, maybe the more interesting thing to look at on the map is the fact that Nightstalker could get ganked. CT has a charge at the ready. Queen of Pain is coming straight down the lane. Blink and Scream. Chuan seems like he's too tanky as he farms up towards that Aghanim Scepter. Less than 400 gold till he has that done. The advantage has slowed down at about that 12 to 13,000 net worth lead for IG, excuse me, and 10,000 experience lead also for Invictus. They're content with this, but at the same time, I think that For the Dream have the ability to come back into this game if they're given the room. So I just need to make sure that they keep on constricting their space, and right now just passively farming inside their woods and pushing out the lanes is doing just that. Spearbreaker, however, is going to pick up a gem. This is a very important pickup for the side of FTD. If this gem gets turned over in the hands of Nightstalker, he's going to be saved the trouble of buying his own after the Aghanim Scepter. He's going to have that now. Chuan has the map hack vision up and running. It's such a scary amount of control that's offered from that. Not only because of the dewarding ability, but inside the team fights. When you have darkness popped, FTD are going to see next to nothing, and you see everything. It reduces the effectiveness of Slidar's ultimate a lot too. Not something that usually comes into play very often, but having that massive flying vision at nighttime, and Slark won't be able to juke inside the trees and fog out to try and get that Shadow Dance up and running. Slark is going to Shadow Blade now. And he does have the gem. Slark also has very good ability to deward by himself, and giving a gem of True Sight towards him is probably the right move for FTD. Nobody else really wants to be holding on to it. Oh, and damage is going to be thrown on a creep. They're claiming the creep wave. Smoke is going to be broken as they chains up the Queen of Pain. It looks like that's not going to matter much. The Smunderbest is going to be thrown. Mops up all of the ites, but all the lings are still there. Which is usually happens when you're dealing with the majority of nukes. You'll kill off the baby spiders, sure, but the original ones spawned by Lua's spawn spiderlings are going to remain intact. Slark is on the hunt. Or maybe he's not. I think he's on the hunt for ultimate orbs. And he's going to pick one up over in the side shop. Bit of a roundabout way to go about it, but the safest place for a Slark probably is in the enemy woods, especially since he knows that he hasn't been taken. Yeah. The gem is going to be held. That's what the Slark is replaced with, the ultimate orb, and they really just don't want to afford losing it. And I like that they put that on the courier where Slark goes for more of a risky move. If they had an awkward sentry in the lane, that could have been disastrous for them, giving away that gem and Ags to the Nightstalker that I was talking about earlier. So definitely a good point. Tier 3 tower. Gonna take a lot of damage here. The amp is applied to the Gyrocopter, but then again he has the Solar Crest added to him. So he really doesn't care. The extra 10 armor from the Solar Crest and the extra 5 armor from the Vlads is going to completely negate that. And now just getting one too many misses. The Arctic Burn is going to be applied nearly as much as they'd like it to. And IG, it's slow and steady wins the race here. They can keep on chipping, and For the Dream don't have a great response to this. Dust is going to be deployed by the Slardar, trying to clip onto the Broodmother, and will succeed. But doing anything after that dust is another story entirely. Tier 3 is going to fall. Queen of Pain blinks in for the scream and slows down the gyrocopter. But IG got what they came for, pretty much. And there's nothing stopping them from keeping on going for the melee barracks afterwards. With the exception being the lanes pushing back into their tier 1. So they're going to be on their retreat. Night Stalker pops his darkness, cancels the charge. And now Luo is going to... I don't know. Where's the Broodmother in all of this? To get the Winter's Curse Sonic Wave over onto the gyrocopter, bring him down. Lua is there with the spawn spiderling, so we'll be able to get a kill in return as the Slark tries to run away. Now that Shedidance is expiring, this could be very sketchy for the Slark. It's going to throw a Dark Pact, but it really doesn't do much. They hold the Silence and they hold the Void. Do they have Detection? Sentry down the ground, spawn spiderlings, and he's down. Double kill for Chuan. Now the melee barracks in a lot of trouble. They have to commit so many ultimates to kill that gyrocopter initially that For the Dream just don't have anything left to save their buildings, and it looks like IG are getting really close to winning this series. It's not over, but Slark is not a carry that really can deal with these super creeps very effectively, and For the Dream don't have anybody like the Ember Spirit with the Battle Fury Cleave and the Crystallis that can mop up creep waves nearly as fast as they need to in order to keep up with the momentum of the push coming out from IG. This is an important game. There's no reason to call GG yet, and it isn't over. But it is looking very convincingly in the lead of Invictus Gaming. More than 15,000 net worth in their favor, about 13,000 in experience, and the gem is now purchased up by the Bane to give that away towards the Night Stalker. Even though they don't lose their gem, they're not getting any active benefit from it. The For the Dream side just still sits passively on the career. It's pretty incredible that the BKBs are all 9 seconds, to be honest. There have only been a handful of big fights inside this game. Since they're all the same, I don't think either team is really going to have that much of an advantage because of it. Both sides do have a fair amount of magic damage that is going to be negated by those BKBs, but also they both have single target lockdown spells that do go through the BKB, the Fiend's Grip, and the Winter's Curse, which can be big game changers. And if nothing else, IG are going to be happy that they're on the same footing when it comes to BKB timings against For the Dream, because they're ahead in so many other aspects, and one of us is damage output, consistent damage output, I should say. The Daedalus Battle Fury Ember Spirit's doing so much inside these fights. You have a Butterfly Gyrocopter too for a pretty massive amount from the Flat Cannon. The same really can't be said for the Slark. He's a very single target focused carry, and isn't doing nearly as much on a single target as IG are doing to your entire team, and that's just a little bit sad. The Slark pick seems to be not working for them. The gem is now claimed by the Slark and is going to use that to deward in mid lane as they are going to try their best to push out. Feels like For the Dream are going to be able to delay this loss, but how can they win this game? What's the game-winning play from them? They just need pickoffs. I don't think they have another fallback mechanism. It's not like they have some way to itemize differently on the Queen of Pain and the Slark to make them better carries than the Ember Spirit and the Gyrocopter. Maybe Slark changes his mind after the Scotty, goes for something like a Maelstrom Mjolnir to deal with this creep wave push. That wouldn't be bad either, but it would come at the cost of so many other items that maybe that's not even worth it. They'll get an amp onto the Spiderling. The Spiderling has been ganked, and they'll be able to kill that off. Queen of Pain getting the last hit, I'm pretty sure. Everything's slowed down. IG want to risk nothing, and they don't have to. They're going to wait for the Roshan, third of the game. Aegis and Cheese available for IG to take. Can FTD make a defense inside the pit? In theory, they have the heroes for it, but it really feels like they're just too far behind in order to make that play. In that case, can they win the high ground fight with Aegis and Cheese available for IG? That's another question I'm not 100% sure of the answer of, and I'm tempted to say no. FTD kind of need like an Aegis Steel here, or some sort of massive play to be able to bring them back into this. Aegis is going to be claimed by the Gyrocopter. Cheese will be claimed by the Ember Spirit. And IG are feeling good as they should. I'm still surprised that Ember Spirit hasn't gotten a single kill. 0, 1, and 10. He's done a lot of damage inside these fights, and not to say that Ferrari's playing poorly, far from it. In fact, he's been doing very well. It's just always funny when he's not able to get those last hits, or when any core is not able to get a single kill. I kind of want to see him end the game with none, but that feels very difficult to accomplish if he's actually using his spells. With the Battle Fury Daedalus, his damage output's immense. A couple spiders gonna get caught in limbo here inside the trees. We'll find a pathway out to freedom as the smoke has been spotted. Not sure if IG knew about that necessarily. Or maybe it wasn't spotted after all. It might have just been seeing visual artifacts. They're going to Blinking for the crush, but Ember Spirit's faster with the reaction. They're going to get the Fiend's Grip onto the Slaughter. Winter Wyvern and Slaughter are down. The initiating tools are just completely gone. Sonic Wave is thrown, connects on a next to nothing, and GG is called. Congratulations, IIG. You've got yourself a ticket to Vilnius. And FTD, unfortunately, eliminated from the tournament. FTD.A throughout the group stage and throughout this series have surprised me and a lot of viewers. They have been looking good, and I definitely think that they're a team that needs to be respected a little bit more when you're going into these games in the Chinese scene. Right now, it feels like anybody can take a game off of anybody, and this series no exception. Taking it out to 5 games in and of itself is very impressive, FTD. But Invictus Gaming are going to be your victors here for the first series of the Chinese Game Show playoffs. Yeah, there you go. I'll be moving on to Lithuania for the first stage of the LAN in the Studio LAN and have a chance to go to Moscow for the LAN finals. Thanks for tuning in. We have another series, DK versus Newbie, coming up afterwards. Another best of 5, which should be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. I've been Grant SV. Stats have been provided by Corrupt Drop Bear, and we'll be back in just a little bit. See you there.